Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Scrabble Guess the Elo, where I'll be looking at and analyzing a game of Scrabble, and based on only the plays, trying to figure out what the skill level or Elo rating of the two players are. Now, in this game, we have two very familiar opponents facing off. We have player one going first against player two going second. Now, this will be a very telling first turn of the game, as player one has ponchos on their opening rack, and do they find it? They do. So player one, it looks like, will be annotating the game as we have full racks for them. We won't have full rack info for player two, but we'll do the best we can. Looks like we're going to see Hoagie come down, and we do. Virtuosi is available through the S for player one. Do they find it? They do. Okay. So two bingos to start things off for player one, and player two already at a pretty big disadvantage. We'll play Fa over here. Not sure I love that play. I mean, I obviously don't know their full rack. Fa plays here for one more point. Next to the AG and Hoagie. And it's kind of nice, I think, leaving the P and Ponchos open. Also, it's a great lane for sevens to overlap and end in like ED. That's probably better than leaving the G open for ING, I would guess. I feel like this is just going to tend to really close off the left side. So I feel like this shows a little bit of a strategic misunderstanding playing Fa in this place, even without the full rack knowledge. Just given the score, you definitely need to keep the board open. So based on that, I'm going to guess player two is not a top level player, but it's still early. So let's see. Player one, Delegate, Gleeded. Does Gleeded fit? I don't think so. I don't think Gleeded or Delegate fit. So I don't think player one will be bingoing. We'll see what they do. Legged. That's probably reasonable. Yeah, there's just not a lot of good ways to score, and Leg does take out this G, which is nice for possible ING bingos, especially if Fa signals a good rack. Yeah, I think Leg is okay. Player two, play what, Dura, I guess? Dot? I guess, yeah, I mean, Dura scores 2 more points, but Dot does get back an easier bingo line, so I guess that's probably reasonable. Player one, a little bit heavy on the eyes. Not a lot of good ways to score with this rack. Maybe... yeah, I don't even know here what they should do. Binate? No, that keeps too many. Maybe Beset and Hoagie's just to score and try to outrun. Bestie. Actually, yeah, what was Bestie? Yeah, Bestie was good at this point. Yeah, I think Bestie and Hoagie's is best. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Bide is fine to play defense, especially to keep EIST to hit Hoagie's. But I would have probably just played Bestie. It scores, like, almost 40 points. I don't know. Giving up 30 seems like quite a lot. And you're scoring 40 points, and you're just putting yourself in such good position to outrun. So I would have gone with Bestie, but I don't hate Bide. Player two, yeah, just sort of keeps fishing here. I mean, without the full racks, it's so hard to know whether this is player two being a fairly strong player and just drawing too many vowels and not able to hit and really struggling with their racks, or if player two is a bit weaker and is fishing too much, maybe when they should be opening in a way that plays off more tiles and scores some more points. So a little bit hard to know. But okay, player one now. Yeah, I mean, with player two fishing, you don't want to play him probably and put the tile into triple lane. I don't see anything great. I'd love to get rid of an I. Maybe just Mina here, M-I-N-A. That's probably fine. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, him is fine too. It doesn't really close anything though. If anything, this lane is actually better than the lane under Legged, because you can't put an E after the L, and so ED bingos or ES bingos wouldn't fit, whereas now they do. The M, or the H rather, also improves the leave a lot after Mina, because you, well, not only do you score 4 more points, but H-E-I-S-T, Heist, is a much better leave than Ties, T-I-E-S. So, yeah, I don't really like this play. I'm getting a sense that player one is strong, but not like a top-level player, based on Bide and him especially. And player two, Fa, seemed like a strategical mistake too. Oh gosh, I mean, this is a really horrible play to have to make. I mean, it literally closes down your 2 best bingo lines, but I mean, it may just be the only way they could really get rid of the queue. It's hard to play COD up here and sacrifice like 16 points when you're down over 100. So, again, without full rack, I don't want to jump to too much of a judgment. It may just be a really annoying play to have to make. Now, player one within Sweet plays under here. It's a little bit tricky to see, but not that hard. Let's see if they see it. They do. Okay, so player one definitely doing well when it comes to finding bingos. And this game is basically over now. So Let's maybe we'll go through this one a bit more quickly since this game is turning into a blowout, and then try to get another game in this episode. Player 2 was presumably bingoing with this rack, and they do play Swinery? Swinery. I do not like that at all. That is, yeah, that's definitely not a word. I was a little surprised they were bingoing, because I didn't see anything immediately. Yes, Swinery. No, that's definitely no good. Winery most certainly does not take a front S. So, okay, this definitely tells us something. I mean, I don't know if this was player 2 knowing for sure this wasn't good and figuring, what the heck, I need to try to phony if I want to get back into this game, which would be a very reasonable play, or if player 2 thought this was good. And then player 1, obviously they let it go. So either they thought it was good, or they really weren't sure and they figured, well, if somehow I lose a challenge and then player 2 scores a lot, then my lead could start evaporating and I might not have that much breathing room. Whereas if I let it go and just play earn down here, I stay up 150. So in fairness, you do have to be pretty confident to make that challenge in this case. Although I think most top players, like probably anyone over 1800, I would expect, should be pretty confident Swinery isn't good, especially since it would be an S hook on Winery. So yeah, I'm getting the sense that both players are maybe in like the 1700, maybe even a little bit weaker. I'm not sure, because none of the bingos that player 1 found were super hard to find. Ponchos is a pretty common word. Virtuosi is fairly high prob and just well known, because the rack VIRTUOS is famous for bingoing with every single vowel. So that's a well-known bingo. So I don't know, but let's see what the rest of the game brings. Player 2 is going to play Jenny. Okay, player 1 is going to bingo here, I assume, and put this game away. Yeah, there's boasters at the minimum. Baronets doesn't fit. Yeah, probably just boasters, right? Sorbates. Either way. Yeah, that's totally fine. Doesn't really matter at this point. They score exactly the same. Player 2 plays Pica. Player 1 was go down anywhere. Not seeing it. I don't see anything great. I guess was here is fine. Mode, sure. I mean, maybe they just didn't want to get back to C play. It doesn't really matter at this point. You're up 170. You're not going to lose. If now probably just Zax in the corner, I assume. Oh, they missed Zax? I mean, you got to play Zax here, right? It's 66 points. Huh, yeah, that's a little sloppy. So these players are definitely good, but not top level. Because I don't think, even though the game is over, I don't think any top player misses Zax in the corner here. Player 2 is going to play Knave, and now, yeah, because now what's player 1 really doing with their Z that's so strong? Zeta for 30. I mean, yeah, you'd have been much better off just playing Zax and cashing in. Player 2, are they bingoing? Oh, no, with this another full rack, because there's only 6 tiles unseen. Okay, yeah, so player 1 has AAGLOR. Player 2, Naval? Naval? Oh, it does come off the board. Okay. Yeah, that's a cross between Knave and Null, KNAWEL. So yeah, now player 1 just plays Gull, which is reasonable, doesn't give back Trilled or Trolled. Player 2 now makes a real word over here, and then player 1 plays R and goes out. Okay, so bit of a blowout here. Player 1 wins 530 to 316. A lot of mistakes, especially with word knowledge, some with strategy too. I think him was a bad play by player 2. Fa was a bad play strategically. I think player 1 definitely played. Well, I don't know. Did they play better? Because they drew better. Or at least they actually didn't get a blank, which is kind of crazy. So did they draw better? They had better timing for sure. And, I mean, like I said, though, these bingos, they're good, but they're not that hard to find, any of the ones they made. Like, easily someone rated around 1600 could find all of them. And the fact that that Swinery was played and accepted, that Naval was played, challenged off, but that's a pretty egregious phony. I don't know, guys. This is a tough one. I feel like the players are probably fairly similar. Like, it's easy to think player 1 is better just because we had their full racks and they won by so much, but they didn't actually play great. I mean, On the other hand, like, letting Swinery go was the only clear... I mean, Bide I didn't like, but I could see why they did it. Oh, missing... Wait, who missed Zax again? Was that player 1? Yeah, player 1 missed Zax here, too. No, okay, player 1 didn't actually play that well either. I'm gonna say... I don't know, I kind of want to say, like, 1700 for both of them? They'll still give a slight edge to player 1. Like, a very slight edge. I mean, missing Zax, at that point you're sort of mentally checked out, I get it. But, like, you still shouldn't miss Zax, it's so obvious. And, I mean, I could see why you accepted Swinery at that point in the game if you weren't entirely sure. And I think it was probably a clever play by player 2 to try it at that point. Yeah, alright, I'm going to say player 1 is, like, 1740, and player 2 is, like, 1670. Yeah, okay. Let's see what it is. I got it, like, perfectly, almost. I was literally off by 20 points for each player. Let's go. I said 1740 to 1670. It's 1760 to 1690. What a guess. What a guess. Literally just off by 20 points on both of the players in the same direction. Wow, what a game and what a guess. That was great. Let's do one more, guys, since that only took like 10 minutes or so. So let's do one more. So this will be our first Guess the Elo episode with 2 games. And okay, so we have NWL 18 again. That's basically the most recent dictionary, which is good. And as always, player 1 will be first, playing against his or her arch enemy. Player 2, who will be second. Player 1, there's some options here. You could exchange like 3 to go for a bingo. There's not a lot of good actual plays. I wouldn't play long here with something like Rune, or maybe Rune is fine too. Yeah, Nehru is okay. I mean, it does score 12 points. It just gives back a lot more than exchanging, though, in terms of floaters. I feel like most top players these days would probably exchange 3. Although, I mean, AENR isn't the best 4-tile leave ever, so I don't hate this. I would have exchanged just to maximize my bingo percentage and not give back the floaters, but... So I'm going to guess this means player 1 probably isn't like a top player, but they could easily still be well over 1900. Too early to call that. Player 2 responds with Vinga, so once again, player 1 will be annotating. Player 1 has, let's see, Abjurer. Is that good? No, I think it's just good with an O, right? An Adjurer? I can't remember. That's such a... Because one of Abjurer with an E and an O and Adjurer with an E and an O is not good. I'm checking to see which one it is, because I can never remember. Okay, this one is good. It's Abjuror with an O. Abjuror. That is no good. So Abjuror with an E is good. Adjurer with an E and an O are both good. I don't think it plays here anyway, but just hopefully I won't forget that again. Okay, so Abjurer is good, but yeah, it doesn't play. Maybe Bravure, Bravure. I mean, I don't love keeping the J, but I don't see a good way. I don't really want to play G and keeping Burr. I think Bravure is probably fine. Yeah, okay, no. Braver is definitely not correct, because Bravure scores 4 more points and gets rid of the U. So it's a little bit of a tricky word to see, if even if you know it. But yeah, so I would think though if you see Braver, most top players or anyone who knows Bravure would probably see it. So a bit of a mistake there, but okay. Player 2 plays Frown. I mean, without knowing the full rack, that looks reasonable. Oof, gross draw for player 1. Jury keeping Ewis, that's terrible. I mean, I don't even know what else. Jib. Yeah, I don't know. I can kind of live with either Jib or Jury. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's still better than exchanging. You're scoring 29 points, and IIWS isn't exactly a thing of beauty either. So okay, fine. I can live with Jib. Player 2 plays Pat. Player 1 is close to Wise Guy, but not quite. Yeah, this WUY is just gross. What do you even do here? I mean, yeah, I don't know what you even do. Like, wiry? Tie? Oh, I forgot about Bravery. Did they not have anything here? Oh, I guess they didn't have anything here. Huh. Yeah, I don't like Tie keeping WU. I completely forgot about Bravery, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, you could consider keeping the Y then, and maybe... The problem is, how do How do you play off WU? I don't think you can. Yeah, this is an annoying position, actually. Because I don't want to keep UY either, so I would probably just play Wiry. Yeah, I would probably just play Wiry. It's actually not that easy to hit a 4 ending in TY anyway. So yeah, probably just Wiry. I definitely would not keep WU here. Player 2 is bingoing with what? Legated? No, it doesn't play. Dogtail? Does Dogtail play? No, wait, what are they bingoing with? Is there something through this E? Delating? Dardling. Dardling through the R. Okay, that's probably what they bingo with. Nice. Okay, I think it's the only bingo there, so it's a good find by player 2. Not the hardest word, but still a clutch find. Wetsuits with a T. No. Oh, unwisest. Unwisest is there through the N. Does player 1 see it? This is actually going to be telling because a lot of players who are in the intermediate to even advanced camp do struggle to see bingos through blanks sometimes. So do they find unwisest? They do. Okay, nice play. Player 2 responds with foe. A lot of E's for player 1. Maybe VP or Peeve? Do either of those go down? VPs would have been nice, but it's blocked now. Maybe Neve, N-I-E-V-E. What's the score? It's slightly... Oh, Wive is probably worth it. Yeah, I think Wive is too many points. Yep, okay. Player 2 with the Q, but they should be able to get rid of it with Cannot or Cot somewhere? Maybe not. Yeah, I don't think Cannot actually plays. So maybe not so easily. I don't know. I don't want to play QI here, do I? Yeah, this is kind of a rough turn. Let's see if player 2 exchanged or what they did. Oh, they exchanged. Okay, they must have exchanged. Yeah, I think this is probably inputted as a pass, because they wouldn't have challenged Wive. There's no way. So yeah, they presumably exchanged here, which I think is reasonable. I mean, you're down. You don't want to keep AAINNT. That's going to be pretty tough to bingo with next turn. So they probably exchanged 3, which is, I think, what I would have done too. Player 1, let's see. Got a decent lead, a little Val heavy. You could just play Epilate and blow up your rack. It doesn't score anything, though. Maybe, yeah, I was going to say T here, making Fet, Os, and Edda. EEIP is not the best leave, though. Yeah, maybe you could also just play Nide, but that's also not very inspiring. Yeah, I could kind of live with either here. They play T. Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, I don't love Epilate just getting rid of everything. Okay, so player 2 did indeed, they exchanged a lot. Okay, and unless that rack before was a fake rack, which is possible. It's possible player 1 just left their rack as is, and that was what was inputted in Quackle, and then just add an exchange. But in any case, player 2 will be bingoing here with probably something to this E, I would assume. Is there something? Yeah, Corvette is there. Okay, so that's a miss for player 2. At the minimum, there was Corvette. Was there anything else? I'm just curious to see if there's anything a little bit easier to find. I don't see it immediately. There's Detector and Tricento, but they don't get the E. Yeah, so Corvette is the only thing that gets the E to the triple, which it's clearly the best play here because it scores like 10 points more than Cotters and basically ties the game. So that's a little bit of a miss for player 2. That's the first obvious mistake we've seen from player 2, having only the partial racks. Okay, so player 1 probably Kite. Unless, do they have anything here with OK? I don't think so. Yeah, probably Kite. And player 2, do they bingo here? There's no bingo, right? It's Dousable isn't good. It's Dousable, not Dousable. If they bingo here, then they bingo with a Phony, I believe. But let's see. They do play Dousable. I read their mind, and they get challenged off. So, yeah. I don't know. Dousable, that's a pretty rough Phony. It's relatively high prob. I would expect that. And is it like, what can it even be confused with? Is there like Rousable maybe? Because Rousable is good. What else is even similar to Dousable that it could be confused with? That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, I guess probably Rousable looks like the most similar thing. So maybe they confused it with Rousable, or maybe they thought they could get away with it. But I don't know. I would think most people rated 1700 and above would be pretty sure this isn't good, if not positive. So this is probably the most telling play we've had all game. We've had a few small mistakes, but this is the most egregious thing so far. But okay, so Douseable comes off the board. Now let's see how player 1 does having full knowledge of player 2's rack. So what should they do here? They know there's no immediate threat. You could just play Peruk, because the Z and the Y are really good for scoring, which is nice when you have a lead. Peruk doesn't give that much back, so that's an option. Do they have anything through this L or otherwise using the Z? Probably not. Yeah, I think Peruk looks fine. Unless I'm missing something. Let's see. Oh, they do play Peruk. Okay, nice play. I like that a lot. Player 2 plays Oba. Yeah, I mean, that's probably all you can do. Keeping the U is not great, but yeah, this is a pretty rough position for player 2 now after the phony. So you can player 1 overlap here? I assume they can. Maybe like M-O-Y something? L-O-Y something? You could also just play Oi. M-A-Z-E-L is a solid leave. You definitely want to use that spot, I have to imagine. Because your opponent, I mean, it's not going to be that likely they bingo through an E. You know they still have S-U-E-D, so I wouldn't be paranoid and block this if I were player 1, or the L for that matter. I would just score and then try to outrun in the event they do bingo. Yeah, I would probably just play Oi or Yam. Or Oyez, maybe Oyez. Yeah, unless you... Yeah, because the Z isn't, like, great on this board. So I would probably play the Z. I'd play Oyez. They just play Oi, which is fine. I mean, I guess the idea is if player 2 bingos, then you'll hopefully be able to score more with the Z. Personally, I would have played the Z. There is some merit, though, to keeping the E, because it's there's only a couple left. So I still would have gone with Oyez, but I don't hate Oi by any means. Player 2 plays... This is a play I like a lot, because you got to make something happen. You're down 80, you need to bingo, you have a D. I know there's still 2 more unseen beyond the D you have, but you got to take a risk. If you're just passive, then player 1 is going to close down these lines, and you're going to be more or less strangled because there's nowhere else for you to bingo. So you got to make something happen. So good play by player 2. It's not going to pay off since player 1 is going to score 50 there with Mazed, but it's a risk they absolutely had to take. So I approve of that very much, and now the game is pretty much over since you're down more than the bingo and there's not enough tiles left. Just Gid, player 1 with a rough draw. I would block this E, just not even think about it. Since you have the Q, just play Lex. Okay, I mean, yeah, QIS is fine too, just because, I mean, even, let's face it, even if they do bingo to this E, they'll, like, say they play, I don't know what's left, Handsome to this E for 100. You should be able to win pretty easily after QIS. I would have just played Lex, not to even think about it, and then play QIS next turn, but okay. Wait, is player 2 bingoing again? There's definitely no valid bingos here. Nosehole? Come on. Come on, man. Oh, boy. That comes off the board. Wait, was this player 2 trying to play something that player 1 couldn't challenge for risk of losing in an endgame? So they played Nosehole. What was still unseen? Let's see. Oh, here. So there were still 20 unseen. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, no, the bag isn't empty. So player 1, it wasn't like a position where a creative play where player 1, like sometimes you'll see people, actually the former national champion Matthew Tunnicliffe is famous for this. He'll make these like ridiculous phonies where the opponent can't challenge, because if they challenge and somehow it's good, then Matthew can win in the endgame. So it's a really, really creative way to steal back some spread. But I don't think that's the case here, because player 1, there's still going to be 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's still going to be 13. There's going to be 6 tiles still in the bag. So player 1 isn't in like a position where, oh, if I challenge and somehow it's good, I automatically lose. So I think this is just player 2. Again, either they're like, they somehow thought this was good, or maybe I guess, I don't know, maybe player 1, you could still think that player 1, they don't want to challenge because they should still be able to win being up 46. So, this is a phony that anyone who's, I would think definitely 1700 and over is going to know is not good. So I don't know if this is maybe just player 2 being on tilt and throwing something up. It's not like the craziest sounding phony. It's just like, it's a word that you would have seen if you were rated 1700 if it were good, you know? So I don't know what to make of Nosehole. And What was that phony that was played earlier too? We'll have to go back. I'm not remembering what the oh, Dousable. Yeah, Dousable and Nose Hole. So okay, props to player one though for challenging it off. Not the easiest challenge in that position, and now you can just sort of coast to victory. Yeah, you don't even need to play Glenn, right? Because now you know what they have. You know they don't have anything through the E. So like, I mean, sure, it's fine. Just play Lax though, right? Or well, no, they could still play Oxo, I guess. I was gonna say they don't have an I or a U. But like, I mean, you don't actually have to play Glenn. Like, it's fine. I mean, because then you don't have to worry about it for the next turn. But I mean, yeah, it's not necessary, but it's fine. And now, sure, whatever. I mean, that's probably not a good play. But oh wait, player one. This doesn't make sense. They kept 2 A's and now they have 1 A. So maybe they didn't have that rack with the Glenn because it didn't look like a great play. But I don't know. At this point, it sort of doesn't really matter. The players are just kind of shuffling tiles. The conclusion of this game is foregone. Okay, player one wins 466 to 348. So another really interesting game. More word knowledge mistakes and a few strategical mistakes. I think player one overall played really well, though. I mean, did player one actually really make any mistakes? That was questionable. Yeah, Braver was a mistake. Okay, Braver was a mistake. Jib was fine. I didn't like Ty, although it does still score 29, so I get why they did it. I would have still probably gone with Wiry, but I don't think it's a big mistake. They found Unwisest. Yeah, player one, I mean, other than Bravery and not seeing Bravur, I would have played Oyas, but I don't think Oya is a big mistake. I would have played Lex. Yeah, I mean, I think player one made a few... Bravery was more of a medium mistake, a few small mistakes, but overall played well. Player two, yeah, these two phonies were pretty bad. And they missed Corvette, which isn't that easy to find, but I do think top players or most people rated 1900 or over would definitely find it, and many rated 18. So this could be one... This is either a game where there's I think a substantial rating disparity, or a game where both players are kind of like last game in the 1600-1700 range, and player one just played really well. Because, I mean, nothing player one played is actually that hard to find. Like, Unwisest is a nice find, but it's not obscure or that hard to see. Peruk was a nice play. That's not a super common word. But they didn't play anything else that was super obscure, or certainly no, like, amazing board vision plays. So, player one, I'm going to say more, because usually these games are more like opponents closer in ranking. So, I'm going to say that... And I apologize in advance to player one if shortchanging them. It's more based on how player two played. So I'm going to say that player one is like a 1770 who played a really good game overall. And player two is like, yeah, like 1680. I think I'm feeling like just below 1700 for player two. I'm going to say 1680 for player two and 1770 for player one. And like I said, I apologize in advance to player one if they're like a 2000, because they played probably like a 2000 or certainly like above 1900 level this game, but it was just because of their level of the opponent. So let's see. Once again, I'm saying 1770 for player one, 1680 for player two. What? It's the other way? I literally got it exactly backwards. Player one is a 1680, and player two is a 1750. Wow. Well, props to player one. They played a great game for a 1684. But those challenges are not... I mean, they should know they're not words, but like they're not super easy challenges given the point in the game they were in. So props to player one. Great game. And player two, I mean, those two words, like I don't want to, again, because they might have known they weren't good and figured they needed to try them, which could be reasonable. So I don't want to necessarily say that it was bad to play those, but yeah, mostly just well played to player one. I mean, a couple small mistakes here and there, but for 1684, you played great. So yeah, there you have it, guys. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Two fun games in this one, and I'll be back more with soon. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.